Stepdad moved his entitled daughter into my new house, changed locks. When I called cops despite mom's trauma, she disowned me for her new family. Hi, guys. So I, 32F, recently bought a house of my own. I invited all my family and friends over for a housewarming party a couple of days ago. I invited my parents as well, but I made sure to mention that only they were invited, so my mother wouldn't bring her new family along. My parents have been separated for almost 15 years. Almost 2 years ago, my mother remarried to Carson. He has a 22-year-old daughter, Vanessa, from a previous marriage. Vanessa is spoiled, entitled, and everything that I hate. Carson isn't exactly a party to be around either, and it's pretty clear to me that they don't like me, so I obviously didn't want them to attend my housewarming party because it was an important event for me. In spite of that, my mother brought them along, and when I brought it up with her, she told me that she wanted me to bond with her new family and it would mean the world to her if we could all just get along. I didn't say much to her on that day because I didn't want to kick up a fuss on the day of my own party and just let it slide, thinking that I would deal with this later. But then Vanessa started talking smack about my house at the party to all my friends and told me that she could afford a better house on her salary, which was almost half of mine. That annoyed me, and I told her that she was welcome to buy a house of her own because I was sure that her parents would appreciate their 22-year-old daughter finally moving out of the basement. That earned me a lot of laughs, and she went completely red in the face, so I knew that she was pretty embarrassed. But she was the one who had started it, so I didn't really feel too bad about what I said. I had a lot of guests to attend to, so I didn't pay her much mind and went along to talk to other people. After the party ended, my mother lingered even after everybody had left, including Carson and Vanessa. I decided to confront her at that point and told her that I really didn't want her new family around. I was in my 30s and I was old enough to know the kind of people that I wanted around me and the kind of people that I didn't. Her husband and stepdaughter, unfortunately, happened to fall under the latter category because they were really unpleasant and disrespectful to me. She told me to just give them a chance and then said that she wanted Vanessa to move in with me for a while because her new workplace was a lot closer to my place than to theirs. She told me that if I spent some quality time with her then I would come to like her. But I shot that idea down almost instantly because I could hardly even tolerate her for one evening. I couldn't even imagine the mental strength that it would take for me to tolerate her for an entire day or even more. She was bratty and had no manners at all, so I obviously didn't want her around. And especially not in my home, which was supposed to be my safe space. My mother tried to fight her way into letting Vanessa stay with me, but I wasn't ready to budge and told her that it was never going to happen so she could save her breath. So she left in a huff, and I didn't even bother to talk to her afterwards because there was just no way that I was giving in to her ridiculous demands. But then yesterday, something even more crazy happened. I received a notification from the alarm company which said that my house had been broken into, and I immediately rushed back home from work, only to find that the locks had been changed and I couldn't even get in. I could hear people on the inside and was about to call the cops when my stepfather, Carson, opened the door and told me that I needed to stay out because that was my punishment apparently. I was lost and I asked him what exactly was I being punished for, so he told me that he wasn't going to refresh my memory for me and I had to think of it myself. He'd had the audacity to give me a hint and reminded me of the instance that I had this respected Vanessa in my own home at the party the other day. And now, he said that they were taking over my house because I'd already had the chance to agree to do it nicely, but I had refused and sent my mother home crying and all upset because of the way I behaved with her. Carson told me that he decided that I needed to be taken down a peg or two and he was going to make sure that it happened. I laughed in his face and told him that I was going to call the police and make sure that he was thrown out, along with his daughter. Because they had absolutely no business taking over my house as if it was some stupid game. Then things got even more frustrating and he told me that he knew I wasn't going to do anything of the sort because then, my mother would be really upset with me and would never speak to me again. Because I knew the kind of experience she'd had with cops and she didn't really like them. My mother had a really bad history with police and she even hated the thought of having them even if there was a crime that was being committed. So she really would never forgive me if I involved the cops in this. And I was acutely aware of it. He even said to me that Vanessa apparently deserved to live in this house more than I did, then left me on the porch and slammed the door shut in my face. I realized then that there was really nothing I could do, except to call the police and hope for the best because clearly, Carson and Vanessa weren't. You can now check if there is a part 2 by pressing share and more.